Growing onions from seed can be rewarding, but also really tricky. In today's video, I'm going to share my experience of dealing with damping off during that seed starting stage, how I got some of those seedlings to survive and beat damping off, and then I'll share how I'm planting out my onion starts in the garden today. Let's get into it. I started these seeds in mid-August, and by mid-September, I was seeing some mold growing on top of the soil. If you've ever done seed starting before, there's a good chance you've experienced damping off. Damping off is a fungal disease that usually affects really young seedlings. The most common causes of damping off are overwatering and a non-sterile growing medium. So I'm one of those gardeners that definitely leans toward overwatering, and I learned my lesson majorly this time. Back in August, I made this video where I talked about how I started my onions from seed. I started these seeds using Pro Mix potting soil, which is not a sterile seed starting potting mix. That was my first mistake. My second mistake was overwatering. You can see from this footage of the damping off that the soil looks really wet. To try to fix my damping off problem, I did a number of things. The first was pouring hydrogen peroxide on top of each one of these cells. And I also moved this operation from indoors to outdoors because the UV light will kill the fungi. I also added perlite to the top of each one of these seed starting cells so that I could better help decrease the moisture on top of the seed starting cell. So even though I put them in the sun and I stopped overwatering and I added perlite and I added the hydrogen peroxide, a lot of the onion seedlings still died. But I'm pretty happy with what I've got now. I think these look really strong, really healthy. It's just maybe not the quantity that I wanted. So what I did was I ordered some starts from Haas.com, and I've got those that I may also plant today. About a month in, I also started fertilizing with this Bush Doctor Holy Mackerel fertilizer. It's a fish emulsion that's highest in nitrogen, so it's 310. And the way that I did it was I poured a small amount into this 10 by 20 tray, and then I added water to dilute it. It was pretty remarkable how quickly I saw them benefit from some fish emulsion fertilizer. What we want to do with onions from seed starting all the way until the beginning of bulb formation is try to put on as much green growth on top as possible. The more greenery you have on top, the thicker those bulbs are going to be. Now let's take a look at the onion starts. One of the ways that you can get your onion starts to be stronger and thicker and more likely to stand upright is by trimming them during that seed starting phase. So I did that several times, trying to maintain a height of around 4 to 6 inches. And it worked pretty well. I feel like they have some strength to them and they're not too floppy, even though I probably could have given it one more haircut like a week or two ago. Next year when I start my onions from seed, I'm going to choose a different potting soil. I'm going to make sure it's a sterile mix. I promise I'm not going to overwater the seedlings, and I'm probably going to keep them outdoors as much as possible. So those are a couple lessons learned that I'm going to take forward with me next year. And as for this year, we're ready to plant them out. I'm going to make a hole about 1 inch deep, spaced 4 to 6 inches apart, 1 onion per hole, and I'm going to add some of this balanced organic slow release fertilizer. This is Dr. Earth's all-purpose fertilizer. It's a 444 balanced NPK. That's what we're going to use at the time of planting. I'm going to probably shoot for about a tablespoon or 2 in each one of these holes. There we have it. I'm going to bury it no more than 1 inch deep. I'll put my label in there. If you want to see how I made the label, I'll put a link to a video in the top right of the screen about how I made those DIY plant labels. These are seeds that I bought from Jera's Garden. She's another YouTuber in Florida. She's in Orlando. So her seeds germinated great. I highly recommend them. Now, although I'm fertilizing at the time of planting with a balanced fertilizer, the next fertilizer I'll be using is just probably a nitrogen-rich one. So I'll either side dress with blood meal, or I might come in with some of that liquid fish emulsion. I'll put links to all of these fertilizers and the seeds in the description box below. Spread out that mulch that I moved at the beginning, and then I'll make sure none of them are buried, and then we're gonna water them in. Hit that subscribe button if you want to follow along and see how big these bulbs get. I'm gonna go ahead and move to other spots in my garden and plant out these Texas 1015 yellow variety, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.